Hello, I'm Vrambatu.
And I'm Jishan Karbanda, and welcome to our podcast, Weekly Dose of High School, where we'll be guiding you through the life of a high school student while speaking to knowledgeable people in the industry.
Welcome to our 22nd episode. In today's episode, we're here with Dilnaz Kain, a senior field director for the Rishi Kumar for Congress campaign. As we may know, the election is coming up, so it must be very busy for you and the whole campaign. So we would like to thank you for coming on to our podcast today.
So before we get started, would you like to add anything else, Dilnaz?
Yes. Before we get started, I would like to emphasize that there are certain questions and details I will not be able to give specific details for.
Right.
We do have NDAs in place and we are very close to the finish line. So I will have to stay focused on issues that are relevant and I will not be able to disclose anything outside of my NDA.
Obviously. And we would also like to mention for transparent purposes that both Varun and I are a part of Rishi Kumar's campaign. So however, we'll be taking a non-biased view and we'll be asking questions as if we didn't know a whole lot about the campaign. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode.
All right, to begin with, can you inform our audience how the Rishi Kumar internship benefits our college application?
Yeah. So just like the last time, I think I mentioned in our previous podcast that I'm really not that familiar with how college applications and the interview processes work anymore. I came as an international student myself, and I had a completely different experience. So I really don't know how it works these days. But I can't imagine having this under your belt is not a benefit. I just can't imagine you're going to be developing so many different skills and such a wider perspective. Just with the canvassing itself, you talk to so many different people that it gives you a better bird's eye view of what's happening on the ground besides just what the TV or your YouTube or whatever you get your information from. You get to hear from real people. So just to start with, you're now getting a much wider perspective. I can't imagine how that could not be a benefit when applying to a college.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and to add on to Ron's question, not really necessarily related to college applications, but like how will this or how has this internship helped out interns in their day-to-day lives?
Honestly, at this point, I should be interviewing you guys and asking you that question instead of me answering this question. But I'll give you my perspective based on the 1 year that I've been working with the campaign. So the first thing, it's not just the interns, it's also the brand spanking new directors who join. They have to go through the same training that the interns do. And that initial hump of going and knocking on a stranger's door, trying to get their attention, to trying to stop them from shooing you away. You know, it's very nerve-wracking. It's uncomfortable, it's anxiety-ridden. But at the same time, you're also learning how to deal with rejection. It's not as controlled as if you were in a school or a college environment. It's a lot less controlled. So you get to learn to negotiate. You get to learn how to persevere, how to quickly think on your feet, and how to read people. Now, that's an important skill to have. All of these things you will need to use as you move forward through your career, even in college, even in your personal life. You know, these are all skills that you will have to learn to use, and you're meeting people from all aspects of society. Jishan, I know you've canvassed with me. You've canvassed with me in Campbell, a tough crowd, right? You've canvassed with me in East San Jose. People didn't even speak English there. So what were some of the challenges? Did you not find yourself having to try different attitudes or different ways of being or different ways of presenting yourself or different communication skills just to get that connection and to even ask them to understand why you were standing in front of their door? Correct?
Right.
So I'm sure that was sort of a good experience for you.
Yeah,
right?
obviously, to get
So
to know.
that's one of the big things, is that it's sort of nerve-wracking to go up to people and knock on their doors in the middle of their dinner and say, hey, can you talk to me for 10 minutes while I tell you about my candidate, who they don't even know exists half the time. They don't even know the man exists. So you're selling a product, you're selling a person, you're selling an idea, all great skills to have. Correct?
Right. Yeah.
Then there's the other aspect. And this is where people like me are evaluating people like you, okay? We're the ones that consistently show up. We're the ones that show up for those evening calls. We're the ones that follow up. What is that signaling to someone like me, an older person that's been working, that's worked in the tech world, that's had a regular job? What is that signaling? Commitment, follow through. So it's different skills that you're building, and depending on how you prioritize the campaign, you're going to create better values and good work ethics, or you're just going to move on. And that's it. And the last thing that was really amazing to watch, I would say, is as we've been promoting kids into management roles, or some kids are very enthusiastic about getting more leadership roles and more management roles. And there's an actual difference between what a leader is and what a manager is. I won't go into the details of that. But some of them rise to the challenge. They understand, it starts becoming more complex. It starts becoming a little bit more stressful. Some of them start rolling with it, and some of them can't keep up. So it's what you make of this. But so I think that these are skills, and this is a safe space for everybody to try and practice, because you're not getting a grade. Oh, I know we give you grades in your report cards, but it doesn't really matter, right? So you're not really losing anything by trying something and failing, or trying something and seeing if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, do you want to do this in the future? Do you not want to do this in the future? Do you want to build from here?
Well said. Okay.
All right, Dilnaz. Back to the academic side. So on your website, it is explicitly mentioned that Rishi Kumar will write you a recommendation letter based on your position. So how influential has this letter of recommendation been to students who have received one? And will he write the recommendation letter before early applications, which are due before November 1st?
So again, like I said, I personally don't know how influential this will be, but I personally think that Rishi's a good person to get a letter from, because even if he's not in Congress right now, he has been in a council member, and somebody that has reduced crime, somebody that's fought water rate increases, somebody that's been fighting crazy bills like SB 10, SB 9, right? And so he has a record of having done stuff. So he's not a no-name person to get a recommendation letter for. So that's the first thing, correct? Two, does he, I'm assuming they make a difference because of what happened recently, where a very senior intern had to unexpectedly leave the campaign. Things were busy, school, college, etc. And the first thing he asked for is, Rishi still going to write my recommendation letter? And he was like, of course I will, And does he do it now? No, he can't do it now. And this is something, Jashan, that your dad asked me the first time we met, was the letter of recommendation. And if you've read the frequently asked questions that everybody gets sent when they get the welcome email, the one thing we do say is you have to be promoted up to manager in training. I'm not going to give the amount of doors and mention how many doors you have to hit to get to manager in training, but that's when you get your recommendation letter. So that is definitely the milestone you have to hit to get the recommendation letter. As far as writing them, if the person is ready to go now, if we have somebody that needs it now and they've hit that minimum door target, etc., and been promoted to manager in training, I'm sure he'll write the letter. I had one intern that was that managed to become manager in training within the summer. So she hit her target doors, and I reminded her, hey, she couldn't continue with the campaign, too many things going on. I reminded her, hey, you're qualified to get that letter of recommendation. And the first question she asked me was, will he write me one next year when I apply for college? And he said, of course I will. She's been amazing. Of course I will write her a letter of recommendation, even if it is next year. So the point is, I think something that he emphasized, Jishan, when your dad had asked me this question and when we'd spoken, the more the person does, the more there is to write. So it's up to you guys to shine. So there's more for us to put in those recommendation letters.
Yeah, that's truly amazing. And also, I have another question. So, when does one get a certificate from Rishi Kumar? Is it like every time they rank up, or
Yes.
okay,
So, I mean, if it's just a digital certificate, there's volunteer hours. HR manages a lot of those logistics. I don't personally. But yes, every time you hit your minimum doors, yes, you get that certificate and you get that promotion.
okay,
And if the volunteer hours need to be recorded for some other organization, you are expected to record your volunteer hours. And of course, we have a moderate record, and HR tracks it and will say, yes, this person committed these many hours to the campaign.
sounds good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so continuing on this topic, so would students be able to see the recommendation letter that Rishi writes, or will that be directly sent to the university or college they're
As
applying to?
far as I know, it will be sent directly, but I would pass this question on to HR, because this is not my area. I'm more the logistics person and the everyday running of the campaign. And so I am not, I could ask, nobody's asked me, so that's why I don't have a good answer. I think there was one person when I briefly heard that we usually do not share it with them, we just send it. But don't think that that's the exact answer. I would still confirm with HR.
Okay, cool.
So, Dilnaz, do you believe that the Rishi Kumar Congress campaign is more influential than a regular volunteering opportunity?
I, again, don't know. I think it is more valuable if you were to
Because
ask
it's an
me.
internship, so it probably
Yeah.
holds more value, right?
So we use the word interchangeably. Technically, you guys are volunteering. But we do call you interns, and depending on your level of engagement, you can make this a very valuable internship, or you can make it a volunteer experience. Okay, so I personally think, yes, it is quite valuable, based on some of the skills I said you develop. And I'll tell you why, because there are people who've left the campaign. I've mentioned this before, who've left the campaign and are doing things with other campaigns as a consulting firm. Okay. I know, I've heard of some of these people, some of these kids who are doing great social media campaigns. I've not personally met them, but you can see in the training videos that these kids were extremely competent. They designed things, they designed templates for the presentations, they had videos, they had training videos. They were just really engaged. And I think that goes on their resume and makes them look spectacular, that they helped a congressional campaign and managed the social media, created videos, created templates, created presentations. And so that's something that we don't handhold. We try to give the opportunity and space for kids to show their leadership, and then we let them thrive at it.
Thank you, Dilnaz.
So, Dilnaz, how has the campaign been for you, like as an adult volunteer, especially since you hold like a senior position? How's it been different compared to a teen volunteer? And would you say it's rewarding?
Oh yeah, I would definitely say it's been very, very, very rewarding. I would say definitely the kids have been the primary rewarding factor in the campaign. It's been wonderful to work with amazing, wonderful kids. I mean, I cannot say enough good things about all the kids I work with. There are days some of you guys will try my patience, but in general, I would say 95% of the time, you guys are all good, wonderful kids to work with. Extremely bright, extremely dedicated, great communication skills, great presence, just amazing kids. So that part, I would say, has been very rewarding. The other aspect as an adult volunteer also has been my peers. I've had the most phenomenal work experience with all my peers, all the other field directors, all the other people that work. I don't even know the whole team. I only work with the part that manages the canvassing and the kids, right? There is a whole other team out there that does the strategy, of the fundraising. There's a whole bunch of other aspects to this campaign. that I've chosen to not be part of, because I thought this was all I wanted to work with and this is what I can handle. And I am amazed at the amount of support, nurturing, communication. When there's a 9 p.m. call, everybody shows up for that 9 p.m. call. Everybody's prepared. We have our agendas, we have our to-dos, we know what we're doing. Everybody provides support. And this is a kind of environment I usually prefer working in, which is where everybody has a common shared goal towards helping Rishi win. And that is what I like. That's the kind of environment I prefer working in, is where everybody is working towards a common shared goal. And that's what I found here. And even when the directors have left, we've still kept in touch. Some of them have moved on, as I mentioned. I don't know, Joshan, if I mentioned, but one of the field directors is now running for city council in Saratoga. So I wish her all the best. I don't know, maybe I'll get recruited away to her campaign at some point. I would be happy to help her. And so yeah, definitely the team of people that I've worked with have been amazing. It's just been an amazing work experience.
Mm-hmm. Well said. With that being said, I believe that's all for episode 22 of Weekly Dose of High School. Hope you guys enjoy listening to Dilnaz speak about the advantages of the Rishi Kumar Congress campaign internship and how that will help us out, not only in our college applications, but our lives ahead.
Also, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our podcast, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or on YouTube. We're on all those platforms. We upload weekly episodes, so make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an upload. Until then, take it easy.